her oxygen and froze at someone on scene? Panic or planned? What was he hiding?
I couldn't breathe. Not in the dramatic, exaggerated way people say it when they're overwhelmed. I mean, actually physically couldn't breathe. The oxygen mask pressed against my face hissed softly, fogging with every weak inhale. The air felt thin anyway, useless, like trying to drink from an empty glass. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. The monitor beside me beeped. Too fast, then too slow. Then, a hand reached in, out of nowhere. Not a nurse, not gloved, not careful. Familiar. Too familiar. My father. And before I could even process why he was leaning over me like that, before I could ask what was wrong, he grabbed the mask and pulled it off. Everything stopped. No warning, no explanation, just gone. Air, gone. I sucked in nothing. My chest tightened instantly, violently, like it was collapsing inward. My fingers shot up, grabbing at his wrist, the mask, anything. D-Dad? My voice didn't even sound like mine. It was thin, broken, panicked. He didn't answer. That was the worst part. He didn't look angry. He didn't look scared. He didn't even look confused. He just stared at me. Like he was waiting. Waiting for something. Or for something to stop. My lungs burned. My vision started to blur around the edges, like someone was slowly dimming the lights in the room. I tried to sit up, but my body wouldn't cooperate. Too weak. Too slow. Please. Nothing. No reaction. No hesitation. Who does that? What kind of father just stands there while his daughter suffocates? And here's the thing that didn't make sense, the part that kept replaying in my head later. His hand was steady, not shaking, not rushed. Steady, like he had already decided. Like this wasn't a mistake. Like this was the plan. My nails dug into his arm, but he didn't flinch. Not even a little. His eyes stayed locked on mine, unblinking, almost distant. Like I wasn't even there. Or like he was looking through me. The beeping behind me started stretching out, slower, louder, then muffled again. My ears rang. I couldn't think straight anymore. Just one question looping over and over. Why? Why would he do this? 3 days ago, I collapsed at school. Just dropped. No warning. 1 second, I was standing in the hallway arguing with Mia about some stupid math test, and the next, nothing. Black. When I woke up, I was here. Tubes. Machines. Questions. No one answered properly. And my dad hovering too close. Too involved. Too different. He wouldn't let the doctors talk to me alone. Wouldn't let me see my phone. Wouldn't even leave the room for more than a few minutes. At first, I thought he was just worried. Now, I wasn't so sure. Because worried people don't do this. They don't take away the one thing keeping you alive. My chest spazzed. I tried to inhale again, nothing. Just dry, useless air scraping down my throat. I looked at him, really looked this time. And something felt wrong. Not just what he was doing, but him. Like I didn't know him. Like the man standing over me wasn't my father anymore. Or maybe never was the version of him I thought I knew. My vision tunneled. Dark creeping in. Edges collapsing. I was seconds away from blacking out again. And then he froze. Just stopped. Completely. His grip loosened slightly on the mask, but he didn't drop it. Didn't move. Didn't breathe. His eyes shifted. Not to me. Past me. Behind him. And suddenly, for the first time since this started, my father looked afraid. Not nervous. Not tense. Afraid. Like something had just walked into the room that wasn't supposed to be there. My heart pounded harder, even as my body gave out. I couldn't turn my head. Couldn't see who or what he was looking at. But I saw it in his face. That moment, that realization, and then he whispered, barely audible, "You weren't supposed to be here." My stomach dropped, because whatever was behind him, it changed everything. You weren't supposed to be here. Those words didn't just hang in the air, they cracked something open. Because my dad didn't scare easily. I knew that. I'd seen him deal with job losses, arguments, even the night my mom left without warning years ago. He was always the calm one, the controlled one. But right now, his voice betrayed him, and I couldn't see why. My vision flickered, struggling to stay focused. Everything felt distant, like I was sinking underwater while still watching the surface ripple above me. I tried to turn my head. I needed to see. Who was behind him? A nurse? A doctor? No. If it were that simple, he wouldn't react like this. He still hadn't turned around. That's what made it worse. Whatever or whoever was behind him, he already knew. And he didn't want to face it. My chest tightened again, sharper this time. Instinct took over. I grabbed weakly at the oxygen mask still in his hand, my fingers barely brushing it. That tiny movement seemed to snap something. Not in him. In the room, Mr. Moreno. A voice. Calm, controlled, firm, female, and familiar. Step away from her, now. Dr. Carter. But something was different. Her voice didn't carry confusion anymore, or uncertainty. It carried certainty. And authority. I saw it ripple through my dad instantly. His jaw tightened, his shoulders stiffened, but he still didn't turn. Slowly, too slowly, his hand lowered. The oxygen mask hovered just inches from my face. So close, but not close enough. Why wasn't he letting go? What was he thinking? Another voice cut in deeper this time. Sir, put the mask back on her, immediately. Security. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just concern. This wasn't routine. Something had escalated way beyond a normal hospital situation. My dad finally blinked. Once. Twice. Like he was calculating something. Like he was deciding whether to comply or commit. And for a terrifying second, I thought he might choose wrong. My pulse pounded in my ears, erratic and fading at the same time. The edges of the room darkened further, swallowing the walls, the machines, everything except him. It felt like the entire world had narrowed down to one moment. One decision. Then, he let go. The mask slipped from his fingers. Not dropped, not thrown, released. Like surrender. A blur of movement followed. Hands multiple rushed in. Someone lifted my head. Another pressed the mask back over my face. Air. Cold, sharp, immediate. I gasped hard, lungs seizing as oxygen flooded back in too fast. My body shook, desperate to catch up, to recover, to survive. The beeping beside me spiked wildly. Voices overlapped. Easy, slow breaths. She's stabilizing. Get him out of here. I focused on one thing. Breathing. In, out, in, out. Each breath hurt, but it was real. And that mattered. But even as my body started to stabilize, my mind didn't. Because I couldn't stop looking at him. They were pulling him back now. 2 security guards gripping his arms. And finally, he turned, not toward them. Not toward Dr. Carter, toward me. Our eyes locked. And I saw something I'd never seen before. Not anger, not fear, not even regret. Something colder, something emptier. Like he had already accepted the outcome. Like this moment was supposed to happen eventually. And then he said something. Not loud. Not for anyone else. Just for me. You weren't supposed to remember. My stomach dropped. Remember what? Before I could even process it, he was gone. Pulled out of the room, the door slammed shut behind him. Silence rushed in, heavy and suffocating in a completely different way. Dr. Carter stepped into my line of sight, her expression tight, focused, but not surprised. That's what stuck with me. She wasn't surprised. She looked like someone who had just confirmed something she already suspected. Ava, she said gently but quickly, stay with me, okay? Can you hear me? I nodded weakly, still trying to steady my breathing. But my mind was racing now. because his words kept echoing. You aren't supposed to remember. Fragments flickered at the edges of my thoughts. Something hidden. Something I had seen. Something he didn't want me to know. And suddenly, this wasn't just about what happened in this room. This started before I ever got here. Before I collapsed. Before the hospital. Before all of this. And whatever I forgot was important enough for my own father to try and silence me. Why was my dad already in the room before anything even happened? That question didn't come to me all at once. It crept in. Slow, quiet, uncomfortable. Because at first, I didn't want to think about it. Didn't want to replay the moment over and over in my head. But I couldn't stop. And the more I thought about it, the less sense it made. Let's rewind. 48 hours earlier, before the oxygen mask, before the hospital bed, before everything went wrong, I woke up on the couch at home, wrapped in a blanket I didn't remember falling asleep under. My throat felt dry, my chest tight, like I'd just run a mile without actually moving. Hey, my dad's voice came from the kitchen doorway. Too quick, too alert, like he'd been waiting for me to wake up. You passed out at school, he said, walking toward me. They called me. I brought you home. Simple explanation. Clean. But something about the way he said it didn't sit right. Too rehearsed. I'm fine, I muttered, trying to sit up. A sharp wave of dizziness hit immediately. My vision tilted, then corrected itself. He was next to me instantly. Don't, he said, a little too firmly. Just stay there. Stay there. That phrase stuck. Because my dad wasn't usually like that. He wasn't controlling. Distant, sure. Busy, definitely. But not this. Hovering. Watching. Measuring every movement like it mattered more than it should. I just fainted, I said, forcing a small laugh. It's not a big deal. It is, he replied. No hesitation. No softness. Just final. That was the first red flag. The second came later that night. I couldn't sleep. Not because of pain, but because something felt off. You ever get that feeling? Like your brain is trying to tell you something, but the message won't fully load? I got up quietly, padding down the hallway toward the kitchen for water. And that's when I heard it. My dad's voice. Low. Urgent. No, she doesn't remember. I froze. Silence on the other end. Then, that's the only thing that matters. My grip tightened around the wall. Doesn't remember what? I leaned slightly, just enough to peek around the corner. He had his back to me, phone pressed tightly to his ear. His posture was rigid, shoulders tense. I handled it, he continued. You just need to hold up your end. Handled what? My heart started pounding, slow but heavy. Something wasn't right. And deep down, I think I already knew that. I stepped back before he could turn around, retreating quietly to my room. I didn't confront him. Not yet. But something had shifted. The next morning, he insisted on taking me to the hospital. Not suggesting. Not asking. Insisting. I'm fine, I argued, grabbing my bag. I'll just go to school. No. One word. Sharp. Final. And again, not like him. At the hospital, things only got weirder. Tests, questions, machines, but no answers. Every result came back, unclear. Inconclusive, Dr. Carter said, her brow slightly furrowed. That word again. Over and over. Like my condition didn't fit into anything normal. She tried to ask me questions directly. When did the symptoms start? Do you remember feeling anything unusual before you collapsed? But every time, my dad interrupted. She's been stressed. She probably didn't eat enough. It's nothing serious. Nothing serious? Then why were we here? Why did I feel like I couldn't breathe properly? Why did everything feel off? At one point, Dr. Carter glanced at him just for a second. And in that look, I saw it. Doubt. Later, when my dad stepped out to take a call, Nurse Jamie came in. She checked my vitals, adjusted something on the machine, then paused. Like she was deciding whether to say something. Then she leaned in slightly. If you feel worse, she said quietly, press the call button, okay? I nodded. But then she added something that made my stomach twist. Even if your dad says not to. I blinked. What? She straightened immediately, like she hadn't said anything unusual. Just press it, she repeated, then left the room. I stared at the door long after she was gone. Because now it wasn't just me. Someone else saw it too. Something wasn't right. That night, I couldn't shake the feeling. I drifted in and out of sleep, my breathing uneven, my thoughts scattered. Until suddenly, I woke up, gasping. Sharp, panicked, immediate, like my body had forgotten how to breathe. And before I could even reach for the call button, I saw him, already there, standing in the corner of the room, watching me, not rushing, not reacting, just waiting, like he knew it was going to happen. And that's when the question stopped being a thought and became something much worse. How did he know? How did he know? That question didn't just stay in my head, it started changing how I saw everything. Because once you notice something like that, you can't unsee it. And I started paying attention. Really paying attention. Not like before, when I brushed things off or told myself I was overthinking. No. This time, I watched him. Carefully. Quietly. And what I found made everything worse. It started the next morning. I kept my eyes closed. Pretended to be asleep. My breathing slow, even, controlled. But I was awake, and he was there. Of course he was. Sitting beside my bed. Not on his phone, not reading, not distracted. Just watching. Minutes passed. Maybe longer. Then, he moved. Slow. Precise. The kind of movement you only make when you don't want to be noticed. I felt it before I saw it, the faint shift of air near my face. Then the soft click, not loud, but deliberate. I cracked my eyes open just enough to see. His hand was on the oxygen tank, not removing the mask, not turning it off, just adjusting something. A small dial, barely noticeable. He turned it slightly, then stopped, then turned it back. Testing, measuring. My stomach twisted. What was he doing? Footsteps echoed faintly in the hallway. He pulled his hand away instantly, posture snapping back into something normal, something safe. By the time a nurse walked in, he was just a concerned father again. Everything okay? She asked. Yeah, he said smoothly. She's been resting. I closed my eyes again, heart pounding, because I knew what I saw. But here's the part that didn't make sense. Later, when the nurse checked the equipment, everything was normal. No alarms, no irregularities, nothing. So what did he change? Or how did he change it without leaving a trace? That's when fear started turning into something sharper. Suspicion. I needed answers. So I did something I hadn't done yet. I went around him. That afternoon, while he stepped out again, I called Dr. Carter over. Can I ask you something? I said quietly. She nodded, pulling a chair closer. Of course. I hesitated, because saying it out loud made it real, but I said it anyway. My symptoms? Do they make sense? She paused, just for a second, but I caught it. That hesitation. They're unusual, she admitted carefully. Unusual how? Another pause. Then she leaned in slightly, lowering her voice. Your oxygen levels dropped, she said, but not in a pattern we typically see. My chest tightened. What does that mean? It means, she said slowly, something isn't adding up. There it was. Confirmation. Not full, but enough. I wasn't imagining it. Something was wrong, and she knew it too. Before I could ask anything else, a flash hit me. Sharp, sudden, a memory. Not complete. Just a piece. I was standing in my dad's office, the door slightly open. Papers spread across his desk. My name. I remember seeing my name over and over, but the rest blurred, gone. Like my brain slammed a door shut before I could walk through it. I winced, pressing my hand to my temple. Ava? Dr. Carter asked. You okay? I shook my head. I feel like I forgot something. Her expression changed. Not surprised. Interested. Forgot what? I don't know, I admitted, but it feels important. Before she could respond, everything hit at once. My chest, my lungs, my breath, gone. Again. But this time, worse. Way worse. It wasn't gradual. It wasn't building. It was immediate. Violent. Like something had been switched off inside me. I gasped, grabbing at the mask. Air wasn't coming. Not enough. Not fast enough. The monitor screamed. Voices erupted. Her oxygen is dropping. Call it in now. Ava, stay with me. I barely registered any of it. Because through the chaos, I saw him, my dad, standing at the edge of the room, watching, not shocked, not confused, not reacting like everyone else, just focused, like he'd been expecting this exact moment. And then I heard him, not loud, not for anyone else, just under his breath. I can't let you remember. My blood ran cold, because that confirmed it. This wasn't random. This wasn't medical. This was intentional. And whatever I forgot was dangerous. Not to me. To him, everything blurred as they rushed me out, voices overlapping, lights flashing overhead as the ceiling tiles streaked past. And as consciousness slipped away, one thought stayed clear. This wasn't just happening to me. It was being done to me. What was I about to remember? That he was willing to do this? That question didn't fade when I came back to the present. It exploded. Because now, lying in that hospital bed, lungs burning, heart racing, oxygen finally flooding back into my body, I could feel it. The memory, not gone anymore, breaking through, piece by piece, like glass cracking under pressure. You ever have a moment where everything suddenly clicks, but you wish it didn't? That was this. The room around me sharpened again, the beeping steadied, voices lowered into controlled urgency. Dr. Carter was speaking to someone near the door, security still holding my father just outside. But I wasn't focused on them anymore. I was focused on what was happening inside my head. Because it was coming back. That day, his office, I wasn't supposed to be in there. I knew that even then. My dad kept that room locked most of the time, said it was for work, private stuff, bills, documents, normal things. Except the door had been open, just slightly, enough to make you curious, enough to make you step closer. I remember pushing it open slowly, hearing the faint creak, pausing to listen. Nothing. So I stepped inside. At first, it looked normal. Desk, computer, shelves. But then I saw the papers. Spread out, messy. Like he'd been in the middle of something and left in a hurry. And right on top, my name, Ava Moreno. Printed, bold, repeated. I remember frowning, stepping closer, picking one up. Medical forms, charts, dates, symptoms, but they didn't match. Not with anything I remembered. Treatments I'd never had. Notes I'd never been told about. And one phrase written more than once. Controlled exposure. I didn't understand it then. Didn't even know what I was looking at. But I knew one thing. This wasn't normal. And then the last piece hit hard. I wasn't alone in that room. I told you not to go in here. His voice behind me. I turned. He was standing in the doorway. Not angry. That would have made sense. Not surprised. That would have been normal. He looked cold. Still. Like something had just gone very, very wrong. I started holding up the paper. You shouldn't have seen that. That's what he said. Not, you shouldn't be in here. not give that back. Just, you shouldn't have seen that. My stomach dropped. What is this? I asked. He didn't answer. He stepped closer instead. Slow, measured, the same way he moved in the hospital. And that's when I felt it. That same feeling. The one I felt when he took the oxygen mask, like he had already made a decision. I can't explain, he said. But he didn't. Because the next thing I remember is nothing, black, total. And now, back in the hospital bed, I knew why. Because whatever happened in that moment, he made sure I wouldn't remember it. Until now, my breathing steadied slightly, but my chest felt heavier than before. Not from lack of air, from understanding every symptom, every episode, every inconclusive result. It wasn't random. It was designed. My eyes shifted toward the door. Through the small glass window, I could see movement security, Dr. Carter, my father.
If you caught the clues before the reveal, you saw it coming. Did you?